So I will give you now an overview of the project. In the previous years, we began to work on this aspect, on the link between climate change and agriculture. And we developed several projects with some of you here. And we began to work on this climate and agricultural livestock production system from 2012 in France, and with in the beef carbon project with Ireland, Italy, Spain, etc. There is a project in progress now. This is a green ship project. Some of you are contributing to this project. And when we launched this first project in 2012, 2014, it was for us really important to involve the farmers and to involve stakeholders in these kind of initiatives, because this is for us really important to anticipate the evolution of climate change. And we think that thanks to this project now, with a so large number of partners, so large number of countries, we will move forward with the Climate Farm Demo project. But before presenting you the project, I just want to come back on a few facts on the climate context and solution. I give you here an overview of, you know these figures, huh? The evolution of the temperature, the evolution of the greenhouse gas emissions at European scale. And generally, we take the year 1990 as a reference in the IPCC. And so the objective is to be carbon neutral, net zero in 2050, to develop the climate smart agriculture. And so from 1990 to now, we can say that the temperature is rising for sure. We can see here that this is the evolution of the temperature at the global scale. And we can see that from 1901 to now, the increase is 1 degree. And so we know that the objective of the Paris Agreement is to limit the increase of temperature by 1 degree, 0.5 to 2 degree. And so we have worked on in the whole economic sector to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, to improve carbon sequestration, like Leo mentioned before. And you have also the contribution of the agricultural sector to greenhouse gas emissions. At European scale, the agricultural sector represents 10% of the greenhouse gas emissions. And you have here the evolution and the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions by 1990 to now. And we reduce the greenhouse gas emission by 22%. And so generally, this is due to the reduction of fertilizers, the improvement of yield, the reduction of energy consumption. And we have to work now on the challenges and opportunities for 2020 to 2030, 2040, etc. And we try here to illustrate the different challenges we are faced. So the first one, this is we have to improve the skills on climate change. Because when you discuss with farmers, this is a complex subject. We mentioned the carbon sequestration. Do you want to discuss with farmers on methane, nitrous oxide emissions, CO2 emissions? So this is really complex. And so we have to demystify these questions and to improve skills on this aspect. And we have to illustrate also that it is possible to adapt our production system to climate change. So what are the technical solutions? We have different solutions we can apply now, and we will come back on this solution we can apply now in farms. And so some techniques are available now, and we will have also to test emerging solutions. We will be able to apply in 5 years, 10 years. There is a question also on accounting methodologies. We have different tools, different methodologies used at European scale, at global scale. Some tools have been developed by FAO, for instance, with the GLIM tool. And so this is really important to develop a same framework, a same accounting methodology to make sure we are calculating the carbon footprint, the resilience indicator in the same way at European scale. And we will have also, when we move forward and when we improve farm functioning, we will have also to measure the improvement of farms. And so we have to develop monitoring methodologies. There is a question also on the cost of this transition. We know that some mitigation practices are cost-effective, and so this is linked with farm efficiency. So this is not problematic for farmers to implement these practices, but we know that some practices represent an extra cost. And so how can we cover this cost? Which mechanism? We mentioned in the work package 6, the rewarding mechanism we can put in place, and so which mechanism we can put in place in farms for supporting farmers. And the final objective is to involve 10 million farmers we have at European scale. In France, for instance, we launched this initiative in 2012, and we have now 20,000 farmers involved in the low-carbon transition. This is only 10% of farmers we have in France. So we have a big challenge to implement in the large number of farms, to involve these farmers in this kind of initiative. And I think the Climate Farm Demo will help to disseminate, to replicate at a large scale. And so I just want to illustrate the different mitigation practices. So this list is not exhaustive. This is to give you an overview of the first mitigation practices we can suggest to farmers to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. And we will have to work on this aspect in the work package 5. This is the different mitigation practices we can use now, ready to use now. So, for instance, we can improve crops management, fertilization. We reduce from 1990 to now the quantity of fertilizer used, but we can continue to reduce the amount of mineral fertilizer we use in farms. We can, for sure, reduce the energy consumption, fuel, gas, electricity. We can produce renewable energy in agriculture. We have a high potential in producing renewable energy. In livestock production system, we can improve the quantity of input, the type of input. We can replace soya, for instance, by rapeseed in different production systems. We can improve feed efficiency, and there is in livestock production systems the use of manure, how we store manure, how we spread manure, and there is some techniques to reduce the emissions during storage and during spreading. And the livestock management represents an important objective also. In ruminant production system, for instance, the methane emissions, enteric methane emissions, represent 50% of the greenhouse gas emissions. So we have to develop solutions to reduce this part. And we have also the carbon sequestration. And so the agricultural sector represents a high level of sequestration. And so we can develop more cover crops. We can avoid bare soil. We can develop agroforestry. Agroforestry is not really developed at European scale, but we think that it is an opportunity to reduce, to store more carbon, but also to adapt the production system. And grassland management will permit also to improve the carbon sequestration. And so we think that it is possible for now to reduce. So this is not the objective of carbon neutrality in 2050, but the first step is here. And so we think it is possible to reduce by 15, 20, 25%, 30% the greenhouse gas emissions or its increase of carbon sequestration. And regarding adaptation to climate change, there is a lot of situation also according to the pedoclimatic context, and with 27 countries, the pedoclimatic context is really different. But you have here an overview of some practices we can suggest to farmers by distinguishing the short-term strategy and the medium-term strategy. And we have some techniques which will permit to compensate the effect of climate change. For instance, by advanced planting date, by buying forage and concentrates, catch crops, etc. And we have also a solution to reduce the risk associated to climate change. And so in blue, this is any practices applied in livestock production system, and in green, techniques we can apply in crops or a mixed crop livestock system. And so we will have to work deeply on these different practices we will be able to apply in farm according to the context, according to the production system. And so it's why we have had a lot of projects focused on climate change and focused on the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, the increase of carbon sequestration. And the Climate Farm Demo is larger, and we have to cover the both aspects, adaptation and mitigation. And so this is really important because when we will build any mitigation or adaptation plan with farmers, we have to make sure that this mitigation and adaptation plan is in accordance with the evolution of the climate conditions, temperature, rains, etc. And so we have to move to low carbon and resilient farms at a European scale. And after this first step, we will have also emerging solutions. This is any solutions we can't apply in farms for the moment, but we will have to work on this emerging solution. This is, it will be the objective of the work package for Living Lab. And so we have any solution under experimentation for the moment on genetics. We can adapt the livestock, we can adapt species to climate change. And so there is a need in research on genetics. We can improve crop yield, feed efficiency. We can reduce perhaps methane emissions from enteric fermentation. Feed additives represent also an alternative to reduce emissions from manure, to reduce emissions from enteric fermentation. Agroforestry. And so the objective of this emerging solution, the objective is to work this aspect on the coal. We are building a proposal on the coal linking research station, and the objective will be to test this different solution in research farm, experimental farms. And so, with the techniques we are able to use now, this is possible to build from 2020 to 2030, and so this is the objective of the Climate Farm Demo project, to build the first action, adaptation, and mitigation plan. But there is some barriers for applying this kind of adaptation and mitigation plan. And we identified 3 barriers for implementing an adaptation and mitigation plan in farms. The first one concerns the insufficient farmer support and training services. As I mentioned before, there is a lack of knowledge on climate change, adaptation, mitigation, greenhouse gas emissions, carbon sequestration. There is also a low or medium skills for advisors, because we met in France some difficulties, and with European projects some difficulties, because this is really easy to do an audit in farm and to calculate the resilience of the farm and to calculate the carbon footprint of the farm. This is more difficult to build a mitigation and an adaptation plan, because that's need to have an overview of the whole farm functioning, to know, to be a specialist in fertilization, herd management, energy consumption, etc. And so we will have, I think we will have to merge different skills into different entities in the advice companies. And there is also a lack of support to farmers, because if we want to move, if we want them to apply the mitigation practices, we have to support them, not only for the audit and for building an action plan, but to apply the mitigation practices. And so the solution we have to develop, and it will be one of the objectives of the Climate Farm Demo project, it's to improve capacity building in the link between carbon indicators, the link with economic indicators also, because it is really important for farmers to follow the economic indicators, to develop training activities for farmers and advisors, and to network with demonstration actions. And so to demonstrate to farmers that it is feasible to apply these practices in this context. The second barrier concerns the methodologies, the tools we are using at farm level. There is, in different countries, a research tool, model developed, but we are not able to apply this research model at farm level. And so we have to develop tools, methodology we can apply at farm level with activity data to collect. And so it's impossible to ask a farmer 2 days for collecting activity data, for instance. And so we have to identify the best activity data we have to collect in order to make sure that we will do the audit in a good way. And we have to build a resilient climate strategy. And when you apply the audit, when you do the audit, when you build the mitigation action plan, this is really time consuming. And we need also monitoring and reporting and verification process. And this monitoring process are not really available today. And so the solution we have to develop consists in developing carbon standards. I think this is really important to share this methodology and this tool with a whole farm approach. We have a specialized farm in different countries, but we have a large number of farms with different products, dairy, crops, pigs, for instance. And so this is important to have a whole farm approach and not only to consider only one product. To consider also greenhouse gas emissions and carbon sequestration. This is linked to the discussion we have with Leo before. And environmental co-benefit, yes, to have an agroecological overview of the progress we can do in farms. And to build a robust and cost-effective monitoring and reporting process. We can see at European scale some suggestion which consists to do a soil sample every year in each parcel of in each slots. This is impossible to apply. It will represent a high cost, and so we have to do the best compromise on, for following the carbon sequestration. And the third barrier concerns the financial aspect. Implementation of adaptation practices, mitigation practices, some of them are cost effective, some of them represent an extra cost. And there is also a risk in applying, when we ask to a farmer to change his practices, there is a risk in applying a new practices in farms. And we have to support also the advising cost to do the audit, to support farmers year after year. And so how we can support the advising cost and the test certification cost when we move to the rewarding mechanism and to certify the CO2 reduction. And so we have to have a look when we audit farms on the investment capacity and the farm efficiency. There is also good practices applied in farm, and this is important to maintain these good practices because in the carbon farming initiative we only mention the additional storage of carbon, but we have a high stock of carbon in soil, and how we can maintain and we can support farmers to maintain this carbon store in the soil. This is also a question. We have to develop additional practices and show how we can pay how we can fund the application of these new practices. And yes, I think this is important to, and this is it will be permitted by the Climate Farm Demo project, but to merge territory approach and sector approach for the different production system. And so this is the first step, and this is the objective of the Climate Farm Demo project. So you have here an overview of the different questions, and we will have to describe this question and to find the answer we can suggest to farmers in order to put into practice in real conditions these different aspects. So following this context, what is the project content? I think really important, this is not a research project. This is not a project supported by the agri-food industry. This is a project for farmers. And this is a project farmers-oriented. And so this is not only to involve 1,500 farmers, but this is important to make sure that farmers will have a better knowledge of the effect of climate change, of the possibility to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and to give them ownership of this climate transition. And it's why we will do a link with the ClimateSmartAdvisors project after, but this is really important to make sure that farmers are really involving in this evolution. And so the global objective consists in increasing and speeding up the adoption of climate-smart farming practices. And you have here, an overview of the different objectives of the project. First, to increase knowledge, as I mentioned before, to recruit commercial farms, and so this is the first thing we will have to work on, to recruit the 1,500 farms, to support farmers, to do the audit in farms, to build an adaptation and mitigation action plan, to support farmers to demonstrate climate farm practices and their application, and so we will have a large network of demonstration farms. To co-innovate, this is the objective of the living labs. And there is also the objective on the methodologies and tool and the monitoring process. And during the whole project, it will be very important to communicate on the knowledge thanks to the project and the monitoring tool, etc. This is really important regarding the evolution of the discussion at European scale. And so we have nine work packages in the Climate Farm Demo project. So the work package 9, this is the overall management of the project. And after we have 8 work package which answer to each objective we mentioned before. The first one consists in developing a networking activity across Europe for exchanging knowledge through the project. The second one, to advise farmers and to put into practice the practices we mentioned before. To support farmers in the demonstration. And so in each country we will have a lot of demonstration events in the work package 3. To test any solution in the 10 living labs. The work package 5 will work on the tools, the methodology, and the monitoring and reporting process. The work package 6 will work on the rewarding mechanism. How can we reward farmers to be involved in this kind of initiative? And the work package 7 to do the link with other European-related flagship projects, initiatives, and policies. And the work package 8 to disseminate and communicate the project outcomes. And so the project is really ambitious. Because we are a large number of partners, and so the objective is to have a high impact by involving 1,500 farms, to develop 4,500 demonstration events. This is really ambitious. To develop farm resilience, to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. The network we will develop thanks to this project is really important also, because we have different skills and knowledge on the different aspects, thanks to your contribution from university, research institution, producer association, and so on. 27 countries, as I mentioned, and the climate farm solution we have to illustrate, to test, and to apply in farms. And so we will be able to create a very interesting European observatory, because on each farm we will do a first audit, we will build an action plan, and we will do a second audit by the end of the project. This is also a combined approach on adaptation and mitigation, a long-term advice. This is very important because we will have 5 years, 6 years to support farmers in this transition. And we have a lot of practices solution, and we have also the 10 living labs. This is here the distribution of the pilot farms, so the number of farms per country, and you have here the distribution. So we will have 20 organic farms, 80 conventional farms, and after 60 farms in livestock production system, mixed crop livestock production system, 25% of specialized farms in crops production, and 15% in horticulture. So there is also the Climate Farm Demo project is not only the only one project at European scale, and so we have several projects in progress now, and so we have to do a link to be interconnected with this project. So we launch with 6 partners, 6 countries, the Live Carbon Farming project in 2021. And so we have in this project 50 partners and 700 farms. The objective is to put into practice the rewarding mechanism also in this farm. And so this is important to do the link with the Climate Farm Demo project. Some of you are involved also in the Clean Farm project, climate neutral farms. And so we will have also to work on this aspect on tools and methodologies. And there is a link we have to do during the whole project. This is with the sister project, the ClimateSmartAdvisor. And so this project will be launched in 2023. And the target is not farmers, but the target is the advisor. Yes. And so Lise is leading, I don't know where is Lise. Lise is here, yeah. Lise Debrine from ILVO is leading this project, so the ClimateSmartAdvisor project. The objective is to mobilize the European advisory community, to improve capacity building for advisors in a large way, and to do the link with the Climate Farm Demo project. So we will produce knowledge in this project. We will have any solution we will be able to share with the ClimateSmartAdvisor project. And the ClimateSmartAdvisor project with 1,500 advisors, you imagine that we will be able to involve a so large number of farmers at European scale. Concerning the project management, so you have here, we try to illustrate the links between the different work packages. So we won't describe all these links, but you will understand when we discover, no, I don't think you will discover the work package content, but we will come back on the content of the different work package, and we will do this link tomorrow and on Thursday. And what this is important, this is the timeline. And the thing we have to work on during the first 18 months. So, yes. In months 6 and 12, we will have to produce online content repository. So this is the objective of the work package 8. By month 18, the work package 1 will have to produce a database for the 1,500 farms, in order to audit farmers and to support them during 5 years, in order to be able to do a second audit by the end of the project. The work package 5 will have to deliver a digital repository and the climate models, the tool we will use in farms. And the work package 2 will begin the audits, and we build the mitigation and adaptation plan in farms. And by the end of the project, in year 6 or year 7, we will do an audit in the work package 2 on the same sample of farms, and we will be able to measure the progress done by these farmers. And the whole work package, I think, in the work package 3, we will have demonstration events during the whole project, during the different years. When we will have any farmers involved in applying mitigation practices, we will be able to demonstrate and to visit this farm with another farm, different farmers from different countries, and with advisors. And so we will focus the kickoff meeting on the 18 months, the first 18 months. And so it's why we will work tomorrow and the day after on the work package. I will, I do not remember. On work package 2 and 5. 1 and 8, yes. Sorry. And so I will present you the project management team. So you know Christine. We are the IDELE team for managing the project. So Christine is a zootechnical engineer involved in supporting sheep and horse production system, and she is specialized in knowledge transfer. And also we have the ACTA team, Adrien, Marion. I think you know, some of you know Adrien. And so Adrien will be the strategic manager of the project. So he's director of European and regional affairs at ACTA, and he participates to the different projects at European scale, Horizon 2020. And Marion send you a lot of emails for preparing the kickoff meeting. And so Marion will be the operational manager, and she is a project manager at ACTA, and she managed several projects and the Climate Farm Demo project on the administrative and financial aspects. So thank you, Marion, Adrien, and Christine. And now I would like to present you the work package leaders. So if you want to come on to join me, the work package leader, work package 1, with Laure. So the work package 1 is working on the networking activities of knowledge. And so Laure Trist from ILVO is leading this work package. So Laure worked on learning networks, facilitation of knowledge exchange, and farm demonstration. Thanks, Laure. Work package 2, Maria Teresa. No, you stay here, yeah. Maria Teresa Pacioli from Italy, CRPA. She deals with innovation in the agri-food sector, with a focus on the environment and demonstration and training projects involving farmers and technicians. Thanks, Maria Teresa. Work package 3, Tom O'Dwyer from Ireland. So he's working in Tygask, and he's head of the Think Post program, which consists, like the Climate Farm Demo project, to involve farmers in the climate transition. And so he developed a network of demonstration farm at farm level in Ireland. Work package 4, Herman Schorlemer. I pronounce well? He's from Wageningen University, so research manager in Netherlands. And so Herman leads public and private projects with teams of farmers, advisors, and other stakeholders working on co-creation of sustainable solutions. Work package 5, Catherine Broca from IDELE. So Catherine is in the Environment Department of the French Livestock Institute. She is a product manager of the best tool. This is the Capture tool. We will discuss deeper on the tool. She implements carbon credits on farms with a national stakeholders network. Yes. I received an email. So Laure Lebelt from Climate Kick won't be with us today. Perhaps she will be able to come tomorrow, but not sure. And so Lorraine from the Climate Kick, you have the photo here, is working on land use and agricultural system transformation, and she coordinates a portfolio of innovation activities at European scale. Work package 7, Luis Mira da Silva, professor at the University of Lisbon and a partner of Consuli. So he is the coordinator of several national and international projects in innovation, technology transfer in the agri-food sector. And Milisa Trakovic, yes. Milisa from Serbia, Biosense, is head of Innovation and Business Development Department, and her main task is income diversification assurance for the Institute, including project preparation and supervision of all European Horizon 2020 implementation projects. So, yes, I think we can applaud because thanks to their involvement, thanks to the involvement of the ACTA team, we succeed in this proposal, and we are able now to work during 7 years together. Thank you very much.